they saw like this mist start to form up behind us into a person. It formed into like a woman, the shape of a woman. So the typical long white dress, long hair, and then she was just standing behind looking at us, like behind us, right? Because we're just packing around, then the sinner set is quite bulky, right? So like one guy is like unscrewing the pole, then one guy is like pushing the wire, then another guy, the sinner guy, like he's like trying to make it pack it nicely so he can carry nicely, right? So they said she was looking down at us from behind, and then she just stared at us. Then the four of them were just a bit stunned. They were like,
I really don't feel good like this. We're getting a vibe.
Is anyone here? What did you find? You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.
I was a machine gun commander, MG Com in Trisa. This particular story was just the first one that I thought of. Okay. Yeah, that happened to me when I was in Tekong. Essentially, what happened was, as part of our like foundation term, like it's the part where everybody's still kind of fresh, a bit stupid, don't know what's going on, right? So they have this like field camp exercise that we go to Tekong to do. For me, it was the last few days of my field camp. We had this navigation exercise. So essentially, it's for us to navigate in the day and then navigate at night. And then from there, you have to clear some checkpoints. So the checkpoint, roughly what it entails is a set of like coded words and numbers, and then along with a pattern, the kind that you shade with the kind of the paper, right, when you're young, that kind of thing. So it started off quite simple. They split you into your groups. They split you into your tangos, teams, they split you into teams. Then they give you a set of checkpoints, and then they're like, okay, this is your map area, start marking your areas, then you can start planning your route and those kind of things. Nighttime a bit different, they assign you 3 checkpoints. Then for the general exercise, you just need to clear at least 2. So, Singaporeans, we just hit the bare minimum, right? Like, see the 3 checkpoint, this one like damn far, forget it, we just take the 2 easiest one, right? So we look at the map, and I was like, hey, Sienna, this one like look very familiar. Then my friend was like, hey, yeah, this one looked very familiar. Then I was like, hey, do you think I think it's the one that they drop us off in the morning, sorry. Then he was like, yeah, I think it's the checkpoint. So I was like, okay, steady, let's just get it, because it's damn easy, what? So it was like, okay, from our checkpoint, we go to this one, then we get to that one, then we can go back to camp, right? We were heading to our first checkpoint, it wasn't too far. We were walking, then we heard some people walking nearby us. So we're like, hey, should we ask for help, right? Just ask, that kind of thing. But right, you're not supposed to, right? You're supposed to be, super tactical and stuff. So we're like, oi. There's other team like, oi, who's that? They're like, hey, what checkpoint you're finding? Then we start shouting at each other, hey, what checkpoint? Hey, same checkpoint, okay, go together lah. So we combined with another group. Then we managed to walk. Then we're like, hey, I should be here lah. Then one guy, found it. So we're like, sweet, one checkpoint down. So we go and pick up, go and get the code, then go and shade the pattern. Then we're like, then I looked at the time, it was like maybe like 11 plus, 10 to 11 plus lah. So I was like, okay lah, sweet, should be just nice, maybe half an hour to the next place. Then that whole stretch is about 1 to 2 km, I remember. So I was like, okay, 1 to 2 km, we can walk quite fast, right? We were like, okay, sweet, should be no problem. So I was like, guys, can lah, wrap it up, we almost done already. So confidence ma. So we're walking, and then we reached the rough area of where we drop off, because if we recall, it was somewhat on the like maybe the second half of that 1 km stretch. So walking there, and then the planned route was actually to walk down, find that checkpoint, continue walking down. There's a T junction. So I think maybe those that like did BMT or like did the 24 click in Tekong might recall, because it's quite obvious. Tekong has that main island, then there's that reclaimed island. So the night navigation was in that reclaimed island site. So there's like a small little longkang, if I recall, that splits the 2 island lah. So there's like this super long like tunnel kind of size kind of path. So that one is like the main road lah. So that one everybody knows roughly where it is. So if we were to walk down that stretch, we will be able to reach our campsite already lah. So we're like, okay, sweet, it's along the way, 顺便 ma. That's why we also get this checkpoint. We quite lucky. So when we were walking down the stretch, we kind of like I recall it was on the right side of the tree line. So we're like, okay, let's just all shine our torchlight into the tree line. Then one of my friends a bit pantang lah. Then he like, hey, don't shine on top of the tree, that kind of thing. Then I was like, okay, of course, this one don't say lah. We walk all the way to the T junction where it's the main dirt road. Then I was like, hey, jialat lah, how come cannot find? Then my friend say, are you sure it's on the right side? Maybe it's on the left side. So I said, okay, you know what? Let's just walk down halfway. So that's maybe like 500 meters or so. Walk down halfway. and then we split up, like a few of us shine right side, a few shine left. So we walk down the whole stretch, walk, and then we shine, still cannot find. So we were like, oh shit, maybe we damn suay lah, maybe the board kena broken or those kind of thing, maybe like it dropped or whatever. So we regrouped at that T junction because it's a big space. So I was like, hey, you know what, let's just try and radio our base camp, right, ask our commander. So he radio. Then at this point in time, there was like 7 of us, right? So I think 2 or 3 of them stayed to help fix up the radio. Cause I think the shortwave wasn't working. So they turned to the long radio. Then the rest of us went into the forest. Then I was like, okay, I'm confident it's on the right side. So we're like, okay, you know what, let's maybe, cause it's bushes, right? I mean, it's a bit like bushes, then trees. So we're like, okay, you know what, let's just bash maybe 2-3 meters inside. Then we walk down the whole stretch and try and find it lah. Right, makes sense, man. Because if let's say it dropped, there's a chance we might see it on the floor, that kind of thing. So we walk in there, and then we bash and start walking again. Then we were searching, and then we heard that there were some steps inside the bushes. So I learned this when I was in secondary school because some camp instructor like to scare us. So they say like, oh, don't, when you hear for footstep, right, you go and count the pacing. Because if it's quite fast paced, right, it's probably an animal because 4 legs. But if it's a human, it's probably like 1, 2, 1, 2, that kind of step. So we stopped. Then we heard 1, 2, 1, 2. We heard a few steps. So I was like, yeah, it's not an animal, right? Because I don't want to attacked by wild boar, so the worst thing that can happen, a wild boar will attack you. So I was like, okay, let's shout. So I was like, hey bro, you're looking for what's happening? Then no one replied, but we can still hear them. So we're like, hey, maybe they selfish, don't want to share, you know. Then we're like, hey, are you fighting the sick chapter? Ask to help us lah. Then they don't want to help. So we're like, forget it lah, never mind. Maybe they can back to camp or what lah, you know, that kind of thing. Or maybe they like those humpty kind, you know, follow the book, those kind, right? So never mind. So walk down the stretch, then try and find. Then we were searching, then we couldn't find anything. So I was like, wow, damn sian. Then everybody damn morale damn low, cause in the afternoon already kena mud to our pants lah. So we like damn wet, damn sian, damn smelly. So we went back to the T junction where the radio guys were. Then the radio guy just got in contact with HQ. So he was like, hey bro, Sergeant on the radio. Then I was like, hey, Sergeant, yeah, we're at this location. Yeah, I confirm, I know we're correct, blah, blah. Then we waited for a while. Then he was like, okay, I declare your tango, found second checkpoint, you all can come back to main camp. So like, yeah, then high five, wow, happy. Then we like sit down, drink our water, like macam is beer like that, you know. Then we were there happy, chill. Then we like, okay lah, can pangkang already. Then at this point about close to 12 already. So like, we just want to go back and sleep already, right? 4 of the guys went forward to like, they just started walking slowly. Then while the 3 of us remained to dismantle the long pole and everything, right? So dismantling. Then I saw them walking. I was like, hey, don't walk so fast, wait for us lah. Right, you know, it's just the 3 of us here, right? Just wait for us lah. You know? Then they were like, yeah, okay, we're gonna stop. So I turned back, dismantled. Then at this point in time, I won't say that there was a feeling or anything, but it's just that natural nighttime, you know, plus forest, you feel a bit cold. Then that random breeze just comes, right? So I was just like, okay, don't think so much about it, right? So I looking at the other 2 guys, so I'm like, I'm not alone lah, so don't need to be so scared. So we just pack up the pole. Then look at front. Then I saw the 4 guys, they were walking super far ahead. Then I was like, hey, what the hell? So I shouted at them. I was like, oi, what the hell? Why you all there wait for me? Then they were like, yo, hurry up lah. Then I was like, hey, why you so bad to me, sia? We helping you all, We are the ones that set up the radio, we do everything for you. They all now abandon us. So I was a bit upset, but like too far to shout also lah. Then plus night time, we don't really want to make so much noise, right? So we packed up the radio, then we started walking. So we were maybe like about 15 to 20 meters apart lah. So we reached back to camp, and then I confronted a few of them lah. Like I was like, hey, what the hell? Why you all leave us behind, right? Then one of the guy was like, wow, bro. Then he like didn't know what to say. Then he looked a bit stunned lah. Then one of the other 4 was like, bro, we just tell you tomorrow. Then I was like, no, you tell me now. Because we are really close because we went through 5-1 BMT together, OB sir. So 5-1 BMT together. So we are very, very close. So he was like, I tell you tomorrow. I was like, no, you just tell me now lah. Then a third guy from the 4th is like, then just calm down, you know. Relax, like, just, you know, we tell you tomorrow, just go and rest. Everybody's tired now. So this particular guy, I'm a bit closer. So he was like, okay, you know what, fine. You all tell me tomorrow on the ferry when we go back to mainland. So went to sleep in the training shed. Then dry, shook, sleep already can. So next day when we were on the ferry back, then my friend actually told me lah. Then we were together, we were on the same ferry. Then we were on the same area. Then they started talking. Then it's like, then yesterday when you asked us to stop, we stopped, right? And then we were just like happy. Yeah, the four of them were just shit. And they were like, yeah, bro, wow, can't wait to sleep. They turned around, and then when they saw the three of us, we were like high kneeling on the ground, right? So you just imagine it's like that super long sandy path, right? And then the forest was on the left because it's a T junction, right? Then the right side is that small little longkang. So at this point in time, they were looking, right? And then they kind of saw like this is what they described lah. But they described like a fog coming out of the forest, which is not uncommon sometimes because I've been in some forests in Singapore where I can see my own breath at night because it's quite cold, temperatures drop. So they saw like a mist coming out of the forest. So they were like, whoa, they were like, hey bro, got mist, eh. And then they saw like this mist start to form up behind us into a person, right? Into a person. So they were like, they were just like trying to figure things out in their head. And then it formed into like a woman, the shape of a woman. So the typical long white dress, long hair, and then she was just standing behind looking at us, like behind us, right? She was looking down at us from behind, and then she was just staring at us. Then the four of them were just a bit stunned. They were like, hey, they were just, who's that? Right? Suddenly they were like, hey, should we warn them? One girl was like, should we warn them? And then another girl was like, what are they gonna do? Right? What are they gonna do? They just gonna sit there, like they still have to pack the signal say I cannot abandon it, right? So they just turned around and then they started walking. They walked, but they still kept turning back to like check on us. Then I think what happened was when they turned back and then checked on us, they saw that she was looking at them already. Cause one of them I'm really close, like childhood friend, that guy. So I checked with him recently, like in the past year. I was like, hey bro, do you remember this thing happened to me? Happened to us? Then he was like, yeah, I recall. So I was like, do you remember what she looks like or like what it looks like lah? Say I recall seeing a very pale face with no face but only red circles for the eyes. So he said like, so I was like, huh? He was like, yeah lah, just red eye lah, you know, I see you already, I turn around lah, I don't want to look already what, right? And then they as they were continuing walking, they were like every few steps they just turn around, you know, that kind of thing. Just to check whether are we still okay, right? I mean, they still care about us. So they turned around and then after a while they said that she just turned back and then she went on the path. Like, so she was moving left to right from their point of view, from the forest out onto the path, and then she went down into the longkang and then she disappeared. Yeah. So then when they told me this, I was like, why you never tell us earlier? They were like, bro, sorry, I'll be very scared lah, but you know, we feel so bad lah, sorry. Then the three of us, like, ever since then, we every time disturb them. I say, yeah, never mind lah, just abandon us lah, we okay lah, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's one of the few stories that happened during my NS. Yeah. After the induction period, they were like, okay, you were assigned to Charlie Company. So I assigned to Charlie Company. Then I meet the first year commanders. Then the first thing they told us was, lecture room and call your office, try not to stay too late. So naturally, it's, you know, you just like, oh, okay, maybe it's just a rule, right? Maybe it's just a rule, I just follow rule. Then afterward, you will find out that it's not a rule. The previous mono, they said that the lecture room, there's a spirit there. So apparently they caught a video of it, but I never got to see it because I think a few of them saw, then a few of them got really freaked out, so they deleted it. So they said like, oh, the lecture room got something. Then the call office also got something, but that one not so rabak. That one is like push door, that kind of thing. There was once the whole battalion was out for outfield. Then because he's a PES E guy, so he's in the office, right? So he'll bring his laptop, he'll play his game. It's a very small room, right? So normally call office is a small room, then you have two mini offices inside, one for your CSM, one for your OC. So he said most of the time when they're outfield, they'll both close their door. So he was playing his game. That's why he heard the door handle just go down, then open up. Then the door just swing open. Then he was like, wow, shit. Then he just go over there, then he close the door. Then he go back down, they continue using. The same thing. Suddenly he heard the door, the rattle, the handle start to rattle. Then open, like you know those kind of handle, right? Open, then the whole door just swing open. Then he turn around, then he's like, wow, shit. Then this guy a bit daring lah, I have to respect him lah. Then he say, okay lah, you want the door open lah, open the door for you lah. Then my CSM door start to rattle. Then he was like, oh shit lah. Then he got up. Then he like, okay lah, open door for you, okay. Then he open the door, he put the stopper, then he sit down, okay, don't disturb me already. Then he just continue. Then he say, after that, nothing else happened lah. But I think the lecture room one was quite scary because when eventually when my first years, my seniors, they ORD, right, we took over their bunks. So they are like on the, it's a long block, and then the troopers will stay in this area of the block on the top floor, called the top floor, Charlie Company. Top floor, then there's the lecture room, and then it's all the specialist bunk, all the sergeant's bunk. So my bunk in particular was the only bunk allowed in the whole battalion to have blankets over the window. Because most people like to put blanket because of privacy. I mean, army, you try to hold on to whatever you can hold on to, right? So some people like to put blanket for privacy lah. So inside the sergeant don't come and catch up what you're doing inside, that kind of thing. But my bunk in particular was allowed because they know of the story. So just to give you a rough idea, there's like a right angle, right? So there's a corridor. So there's one bunk here, and then the following, like at the corner, right, there's the water cooler and the toilet. So this is like the sergeant's toilet lah. And then there's this like area over here, is drying area lah, but technically it's our smoking area lah. So it's like become a smoking corner there, because it's open air, we're at the top floor, we're at the highest floor already. Then it's that lecture room stretch, and then the follow-on platoon lah, platoon 7 and the rest. So my bunk is the closest to the lecture room. So when I went there, the seniors, because we went to Brunei and then we came back, and then the seniors left, they ORD already. So they left us behind some stuff lah. They left us a fridge lah, then they left us some notes lah, then they were like they left us this small little like cupboards for us to put our stuff lah. So they were like, by the way, keep the blankets on, CSM knows. So I think there were small instances that strange things happened. One of them was my friend was doing a Saturday office duty, COS duty. He was playing music from our sergeant's bunk. Then because the lecture room is like aircon 24/7, so he's like, I cut through the aircon a bit, right? So he's playing music on his phone, then he was walking, then he opened the door. There's a few doors lah, so the nearest door is the front door. Then he walked towards the back. Then he was walking towards the back, right? Suddenly his phone started to like change song. Then he started to like you know, track forward, track back. So he started to play very weird. He was like, what the hell? Then he looked around, then that weird feeling, you know, when your goosebumps start to stand. Then he was like, oh, forget it. Then he opened the door, he ran out. Then he said there was one instance. There was another instance. This one was, I think there was more of us around. We were at the smoking corner. There's a table there lah, so similar to this. We would just sit down there, talk out, play game, that kind of thing, right? Because by right night time, you're supposed to lock some of these doors, right? The COS is supposed to lock all these doors. So the front door swing open. My friend was like, hey bro, you never lock the door ah? He's like, I got locked leh. Then he came out. Then he's like, how come the door open? Then we're like, hey bro, you go and get the office, go to the office and get the key to go and lock the door. Then he was like, okay. So he walked one, it's quite far lah. So I think he also quite saw lah. He walked to office, open up the office, go and open the key press, get the lecture room key, went back, locked the door. So there was like, I think 3-4 of us, we stayed up quite late, we were playing game lah. Then we saw him lock the gate. He was sitting down there, then he smoked, then we were playing game. Then suddenly when we were sitting there, right, then I look out, right, and then I saw the same door suddenly to open. He was like, hey bro, you got lock properly or not? Then he looked at me, then he was like, huh? I locked what? Then he turned, then he, aiyo. Then we all like, aiyo. Then we all sort of know lah. Then we like, aiya, how ah? Then my friend went up. Then he still got the key ma, so he went up, closed the door, then he locked it. Then he shake it. To prove to us, right, then he shake. Then he say, lock. Then you go to the back door. Then he shake, lock also, so cannot be someone inside ma. So he jumped right over, then he sit down, then he continued smoking. And then, true enough, the back door and the front door both open by itself. So we just like, walao eh. Then my friend damn fed up. Then he say, I cannot. Then I was like, never mind, let's just leave it as is. So we went inside, then we took some of the chairs inside the lecture room, then we just jammed it against the door. Because the door swings inside, right? So we were inside, we jammed it, then the outer we tried to jam it as soon as possible, then we locked both doors. After the jam, then nothing happened.
I really don't feel good. It's like getting a vibe.
Is anyone here? What did you find? You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.